coming. Recap of Saturday's game, obviously. I thought tremendous effort from our football team for 60 minutes. And, to go into an environment like that, to go play a top-5 program, to have the chips stacked against you, so to speak, to go put up that type of effort in that fight, was really impressive in a lot of fronts. I thought both lines of scrimmage, the offensive line, especially the defensive line in that front seven, did a really good job of allowing us to have a chance to win the football game. A lot of guys made some tough plays. There's some other plays we didn't make, but I think a lot of guys made some tough plays in key moments to give us a chance. Special teams, I thought, was really solid again. Bailey Flint was really good. Thomas Clucky was excellent throughout the entire day. And if we can continue to get a boost from that part of the game, that's going to only help us moving forward. So, hats off to those guys. Bailey Flint was MAC West defense or special teams player of the week, and Tay was the defensive player of the week. Both, I think, deserving. Some good highlighted things on offense, and Devin Maddox had a tremendous day. Brian Kopag had a tremendous day. Both quarterbacks took care of the football and played efficiently, I thought. So a lot of things to move forward with, to be positive about. I think what our football team learned is what a great week of preparation can really do for you, no matter who the opponent is. And, we got to find a way to bottle that up and capture that each and every week as we move forward from here. And, this week provides its own set of challenges. This is a very physical team coming in here, and a team that would remember our game from 19. And, I think, two good defensive ends, some really good players on offense. Dante Wright's a really good receiver. The McBride kid's a really good tight end. They're physical up front. So we got our hands full this week, and we got to have a great week of preparation and looking forward to Saturday getting back home to the Glass Bowl in front of our fans.
Going back to the Notre Dame game, when you rewatched the film, did you see two evenly matched teams, or maybe even Toledo possibly being the better team?
Well, I think I don't think it's hard to assume and make judgments on all of that stuff. I think there's 60 minutes of opportunity there where you get to sit in the ring and you get to throw punches with the big boys. And I think our grit, our toughness, and our resolve really showed, and who's the better team. I think there's a whole season of football left to see what that looks like. But, I think it's a great step in building some confidence and some authentic confidence. There's a difference between confidence and, hey, we pound our chest and we say we're good, and then there's confidence where there's videotape evidence that backs up that there's some really good plays by some really good players who are doing things that they're coached to do at a high level. And when you get that, that's encouraging, and I think that's the building block of what you want for a great season, hopefully. Well, you teeter on this week. You have to teeter on the verge of there's a lot of lessons in college football you can be learned. There was a team that Notre Dame played week 1 that felt really good, that they played them really tough and played really, really well, and they didn't do so well on Saturday. So there's lots of examples throughout college football that if you don't bring it every week and you don't give your best effort and you don't have a great mindset leading through the week into the game on what it's like to prepare. And treat each opponent with the respect that you would a top 5 program, that you can get beat. I don't know the number, but multiple Power 5 programs and Group of 5 programs lost to FCS schools in the first 2 weeks of the season. So, there's a lot of parity in college football. College football is different right now. I mean, there's these super seniors are on these rosters. The teams are older. They're more veteran groups of guys, and each team's really, really good. The rosters are just better. It's just the way it is. Well, I think that, each guy continues to do some things really, really well, and does that sort itself out, and how does one guy emerge and play great the whole rest of the way and the other guy fall off the face of the earth? I hope that one guy doesn't fall off the face of the earth here. I hope they continue to get better and continue to improve and continue to buy into a game plan and really work and go through it. I think it's good to have both guys involved. There's a change of pace there a little bit. I think it gives the guy that's not in a little bit of a unique perspective to look and see what's going on out there. And I think at the end of the day, we haven't had a quarterback play the entire season here healthy since 2017. So, I'd hate to have a guy at the end of the year, if you lose your starter, who hasn't been in the game the entire season, because I don't think that's a very good recipe for success. So there's going to be games where one guy's going to play a lot more than the other. The other guy may play a lot more than the other one in another game. That's going to be some of that's going to happen. But if they can continue to have a great attitude towards it, keep working towards it, and keep working towards putting a good plan together and how they can be utilized in the game, I mean, you'd say that Carter played a really good game on Saturday, and then you'd say, well, DeQuan had the most critical touchdown in the entire thing. Like, you could make those arguments. So, yeah, I think we're keeping going, keep getting better, keep improving, and see where it goes.
I mean, do you think one of them needs to emerge for the sake of the team, or do you think because obviously DeQuan has the running element, because they have contrasting styles, do you think it's something they can just continue on?
Well, I think we can. It gives the defense a lot of stuff to prepare for. When you have one guy that can spread the field and make you defend all 53 and a third with his arm, and another guy that can make you defend all 53 and a third with his legs, that's a different element. And we're not talking about putting a wildcat running back in here. We're talking about the first 3 plays of the game. The DQ was in the game Saturday were all passes. So, and by design. It's not. You got to be able to take what the defense gives you, and if you can't do that, then you do put a running back in and play wildcat football. But no, I like where those guys are going. I like that it's a little bit of a change of pace, and I like maybe the series off, the calmness it provides for Carter, and having DQ involved in the game is a real positive.
Even following up on that, you believe in both guys, obviously for good reason. Can either one of them become the best version of themselves in that situation?
I believe so. I think they both can. I really do. DQ hasn't played a lot of football for us. I mean, this is his second really true game. So. What he can become, and there's not a ceiling that's going to go on his head to what he can become, and hopefully he can continue to grow and continue to get better. Then the same thing goes for Carter. Like what lessons have we learned? How can we continue to take the things off the tape that maybe prohibited us from having a fantastic game rather than just a good game or a great game? I think those are challenges that we continue to go, and I think that they feed off of each other a little bit in the sense of, there's authentic communication on the sideline of what they see and what's going on, and unless you're out there in that environment and on the field, sometimes it's hard to take it from a coach or take it from somebody that's not out there seeing all the other 21 guys running around. So I think the communication piece of it's been really positive.
I think it was pretty clear your defensive line was really good. When you're building a roster, how key is that element of building it, and how impressive was the defensive line when you went back and watched it?
Well, I think I go back to, when I was at Mount Union as a young coach, I had Pierre Garçon playing in an all-star game, and, I said, man, is this like night and day different speed-wise for you? And he's like, skill guys are the same. Like when I look down the line and how fast the defensive end's getting off the ball, like there's a difference there between the guys in Division III. That gap obviously is closed a lot between Division III and what we have here at the Group of 5 level, but elite programs get elite players at every position. There's 7-on-7 from age 5 up. There's people passing the football, throwing the football, flag football, 7-on-7. It's a little easier to get players developed on the perimeter and skill people developed. There's more of those to recruit. There's more, Devin Maddox came here as a walk-on. He's a 5'8.5" wide receiver. He just had 140 yards against Notre Dame on Saturday. So, there's a lot of Devin Maddoxes out there that are walking around that don't have anywhere to go. There's not a lot of Judge Culpeppers and Darius Alexanders and every defensive lineman that Notre Dame has. There's not a lot of those guys just walking around waiting to walk onto your program they're 6'4", that have great length and unique elite athletic ability. That's a really hard position to recruit. Show me the best defensive line in college football, they'll probably be playing at the very end of the year. And that team down in Tuscaloosa is a great example of that every single year. And the Final Four teams have been pretty consistent over the years of what this looks like in college football. And usually the team that's the best on the line of scrimmage is the one that's playing and holding a trophy at the end.
And how good were your guys when you went back and watched the tape?
Well, they were fantastic. It really did. I think the play that sticks out to me is Nate Givhan goes in the game and the get off that he has off the ball to get the sack that he got. He's not an every down player. He's a package type of guy that comes in and spells Terrence once in a while, and he's a 2. That guy could be on the sideline with his head in his rear end and not paying any attention, but he's into there. He's got the details of what it looks like. He's off the football, flying up the field, gets a sack. And there's multiple times where that happened throughout the course of the game. So, yeah, you have to be able to stop the run at a really high level in college football, and I think we have shown that we have the ability to do that. We've got to continue to do that the rest of the way to put our team in the best chance to win football games. But I think it all starts there.
Was there like a common denominator in what happened inside the red zone in the first half when your drives kind of stalled?
Yeah, we were just a hair off a couple times. We had on the first one we had Rossi open on third down and breaking in there on the post route on the backside, and the ball got batted down at the line of scrimmage. Down in the other end zone, Bryce Mitchell had a ball go right off his fingertips. We were just really close on a couple plays that, that's 8 points that you in a game like that you need. And I said that to the guys on Saturday morning. Like, this will come down to making tough catches and making tough tackles, and we got to do that consistently to have a chance in this football game. So things that we got to improve on and continue to work on. And the ball sometimes doesn't go your way and doesn't bounce your way there, and those are a couple plays you wish you had back.
The question about the penalties in the past isn't good faith. In most of the big picture ways that matter, you guys are a really disciplined program, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
done in school or representing school the right way or game plans and preparation and all that. Yet almost every year, statistically at least, you guys are one of the more penalized teams in the country. Like, how does that
Mm-hmm.
jive?
Well, I think there's times in the course of that football game where we self-inflicted. There's times in the course of the game where somebody's playing against a really good player, and that guy forced you to make a foul. There's through the course of that game where the crowd noise, I think, was a major factor. You saw that, and throughout the game, I thought there's different times through that. I mean, I think Saturday's deal was way different than what Norfolk State was. I thought Norfolk State, we had a couple selfish 15-yard penalties that, maybe we got caught up in the moment of having our fans back and our crowd back and that kind of thing, and guys are playing hard and, just some stupid stuff that you got to take off. I don't ever really get too choked up about effort plays and effort penalties. The things that you can take care of and the things that take no talent, those are the things that drive you crazy.
It's interesting, you look at, sometimes it seems like there's almost no correlation, but you look at Alabama and Ohio State, sometimes their best teams are among the most penalized teams in the country. Is there any rhyme or reason to that stuff?
Well, I think, teams that play really, really hard are going to have some penalties, and I think, would you rather give up 250 yards rushing on defense and only have 3 penalties in the game, or would you rather give up 80 yards rushing and have 4 or 5 plays where your defense is flying to the football and, they're playing with an edge? I think the answer is obvious. So you try to do the best job you can to clean it up. I think going into those environments that you played in Saturday, that part of it's going to be that's one of the elements you're going to have to deal with. You're going to have to fight through that. The crowd noise is a problem. Nobody wants you to win when you're Toledo going to Notre Dame, so you got to deal with that a little bit. So weather the storm, keep fighting, keep going, and I thought our kids did that. And just things that we got to continue to address and make sure that we fix. Because you don't want to get in a game that you're in a nip-tuck situation and something like that costs you and bites you and costs you to lose a football game.
I know it ended up being a moot point because of Finn's touchdown, but how much faith did you have if you had to send Thomas out there for 40-yard field goal with the game on the line?
Well, 40 yards is different than 50, in our case, and in a lot of cases, I think I got great confidence in him. Obviously, we're in some situations there that you could make the argument in 4-down territory down the red zone. We chose to kick him, so I think I got a lot of trust in him. I got a lot of faith in his work ethic, his ability to keep coming out and continuing to get better. There's not a lot of guys in the country that kick off and kick field goals. He does both. A couple years ago, he was actually punting when Bailey got hurt as well. He was doing all 3, which I think he was the only guy in the country at the time doing that. Very unique, very committed kid, very high character guy that gets great grades and a guy that you really, really trust.
How did he get here? Did he kind of reach out to you guys, or did you guys reach out to him in high school?
Well, kickers, any of the specialists, those are things that you got to make a decision. You're going to allocate a scholarship for a long snapper, a punter, and a kicker each year. You probably are. Are you going to invest that type of stuff into a high school kid that you really don't know a lot about? If you can, you're probably going to try to allow that guy to come in and prove himself and earn his prove his worth. And to that kid's credit, he's been nothing but awesome, and keeps his mouth shut, goes, works, does what he needs to do, and does a really good job at it. And I think a mentally tough kid too. I mean, that's a major attribute to that guy when you talk about the. Sometimes we all get caught up in the psyche of kickers and punters, and that guy's a mentally locked-in guy that does it right all the time. So I really appreciate that about him.
With the success of the defense, how much is that scheme and how much has Vince meant there, and how much of that is just dudes playing?
Well, I think there's a combination of all of that. I think when Vince and Cool came in here, their challenge was to create a belief system on defense that we could go win a championship by playing great defense. It wasn't like, hey, you need to play a 3-man front, or hey, you need to play a 4-man front, or hey, you need to, that was never the discussion. The discussion was get 11 players out there that can believe that they can go play really, really hard, be really confident in what the scheme is allowing them to do, and let them play fast and attack. Don't sit back. And, 18 to 22-year-old people, when they practice for the entire year and they only get 12 guaranteed opportunities to play football, they want to play aggressive style. And, that's who we are. That's what we want to do. It doesn't mean you blitz every play, but you play really fast, you play really hard, you go get after people, and see where the chips fall from there. So I give those guys a lot of credit, the defensive staff a lot of credit for creating that belief system. I give the players that are bought into that system a lot of credit for continuing and carrying that down to the locker room. Some of the little things that you see throughout the course of practice, and as the season goes on, you see players, leading and taking care of that stuff, which is also a byproduct of a veteran team. We're talking about guys that have been here 4 and 5 years now. We're not talking about 18 and 19-year-old kids that were here in 18, 19. I mean, those 5 freshmen that started on defense in 2018 when we weren't very good on defense are all juniors now, juniors and seniors. So you would hope that by the time those guys are in their 3rd and 4th year that they understand those lessons and know how to approach each and every week. And when you can do that and you're talented, you got a chance to be pretty successful.
How much do you let them just run the defense and trust them to do their job?
Totally. I don't have time to micromanage the defense. No, that's why you hire them. You hire good people. You let them do what they're supposed to do, and you let them go play. And I think that's that's what you're at your best when you can. Now we sit and we meet. We obviously go through things that are, maybe I see something from an offensive perspective that, hey, this is something that maybe gives us problems, and that kind of deal. And there's a lot of collaboration through the offseason and that kind of deal. But sitting in every defensive game plan meeting and micromanaging that, no, absolutely not.
Do you have an update on Tyson?
Getting there. I don't know if we'll have him this week, but he's getting there. Getting better and improving each and every week, and he's been out running and so I think we're getting close, but we're going to be cautious with it, and do the best thing for that kid before we do what's best for Toledo football, for sure.
You've had the home opener, you've had the marquee non-conference game. Is there a concern about a letdown now, and do you rely then on that veteran leadership to make sure there isn't a letdown?
No concern of a letdown.
Following up on the defense, we obviously hear about Vince a lot. He gets a lot of the credit, but how important has School Gowski been to what's going on?
Well, I think there's a unique mesh amongst the defensive staff. You have Ross Watson, who's came from Bo Pelini's tree and understands all of the coverages and how that all pieces itself together. Vince, kind of big picture guy, coming from a Division III program and kind of seeing how they had to reinvent defense there to match the scheme of their players, because you don't get a chance to go pick your players there. You kind of get what you get. Nobody's on scholarship there. And then Cool, who's been at Alabama, been at Miami, been at some premier places, great success at Missouri. Had a lot of guys that, the guys at Missouri weren't all 6'4", 300-pound defensive linemen. They're guys that look like our guys that that had to be great technicians and be able to really understand how to set guys up and rushing the quarterback and getting to the passer. So it's been a good mix. You got Larry Black in there coaching the defensive tackles, who I think is a fantastic technician, and how he teaches, and his guys play really, really hard. And then Cornell coaching the corners. It's he's done a good job with those guys of teaching them how to play off man, and a little bit different style than Hank. So it's been a little bit of a learning curve, but it's been fun to watch those guys get together, try to get our guys in the best position to be successful and put a plan together to do so. And I think they all have equal parts in it. But Cool's been a major contributor to that. And I think what's great about him, he's one of us. He's a Rocket. He's a guy that's been – this program means an awful lot to him. And, the success of it is important. There's a lot of pride there. You see that with him. You see that with Nate Cole. You see that with Terry Swanson. You see that with some of the guys that have played here that are around here. And I think that's all positive when we're being around our players.
That's all good.
Everything good? Appreciate you guys.